Thank you so much, Bill. That was just lovely. I invite you to listen to the words of Alex Engelbrecht to remind us of the possibilities that we have before us. Welcome to this community of seekers, of questioners, of those open to the revelation that comes from experiences with one another and the spirit of life. May we remember that while we all have some answers, we don't have all the answers. While we know some things, we don't know everything. And while we have lived, others also have experiences very different from our own. Welcome to this community full of questions and possibilities. Our Director of Lifelong Religious Education, Beth Curtis, will now come to share the message in this part of the service that's called Time for All Ages, because indeed it is something that we can all learn from. Beth?
Good morning. Good morning. Today we'll read a book called A House for Every Bird, written by Megan Maynor and illustrated by Keilani Juanita. On the first page, there is a children's drawing of some fantastical bird houses in all different colors and forms. And the book begins. I drew all these birds and a house for every bird. Red for red, tall for tall, a house for one, a house for all. Ta-da! On this page, the young girl's drawing is coming to life, and the bluebird is entering the orange house. What are you doing, bluebird? That house is not for you. Oh no, this is the house for me. Orange is my color, so bold, so bright, like me. But you're blue, only on the outside. You too, orange bird, the blue house is not for you. Darling, this is where I belong. Blue is my vibe, so cool, so calm, so chill, you know. Hey, small bird, what are you doing in that large house? Shoo, shoo. Why, I have a whole flock of cousins. We're in a singing group together, and our act is huge. We'll fill this place up in no time. But that's not fair to Large Bird. He can't live in a small house. Grabbing her eraser, she said, I'm just going to step in here and put you all back where you belong. And on this page, we see a bird with a big feathered tail crammed into a little sardine can that the girl has drawn. Hi. Actually, I feel safer in this small house where I can touch all the walls at once. And please don't yell at me. Okay, but that's enough. I'm the boss here, and I say no more switching. Maybe I shouldn't have used tape. Where is my glue stick? Duck and parakeet are talking to one another. Wah! Psst! Are you going to use that swing she drew for you? Honestly, no, I get motion sickness. Sweet. Wah! I'm training for Ninja Bird Warrior, and I could really use it. Want to trade for this pond view? How delightful, yes, please. And it looks like they're switching houses too. A large pencil is tapping over the drawing. No, 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 you have it all wrong. Ducks like ponds and parakeets like swings. Not this duck. I don't swim, man. Not this parakeet. What is going on? Birds, you need to stay where I put you. Everyone, stay, stay, stay. Why are you all so difficult? We like what we like, darling, said Orange Bird. It's not difficult. It's simple. Well, I was trying to help. I made made a house for every bird. Now, how was I supposed to know what you all like? Ask us, said Orange Bird. Oh, said the girl. But I thought I knew. Ask us, said the Orange Bird. You mean I'm just supposed to ask us, said all the birds. Okay, Green Bird, you're still in the greenhouse. What kind of house do you want? Oh, I'm good, said the Green Bird. Really? I got a match right. You're a green bird who likes a greenhouse. Well, actually, I like this house because it's next door to my best friend. But I don't mind the color. I guess you really can't get to know a bird by its feathers, said the girl. And the only way to know a bird is to get to know a bird. You can tweet that again, said Green Bird. On this page, all of the birds are at a dinner table with the girl. Okay, I'm gonna make bird food. Seeds for one and seeds for all. Oh, wait. Does every bird like seeds? I prefer nuts, said the bluebird. Fruit, said the purple bird. Bugs for me, said the pink bird. Veggie burrito, no onions, double quack, said the green bird. And that concludes our story, which just goes to show you that you can't know a bird until you actually get to know a bird. We can't just guess what a bird, or a person for that matter, might want or need. No, in fact, we have to communicate, to talk, and to ask them. When we stay curious about one another, we make room for belonging. We discover that there isn't just one kind of home, one right way to be in the world, or one kind of family.
The symbol of our faith is a chalice with a flame. Each Sunday, a member of our congregation lights our chalice, as today we hear the words of Julianne Lepp that reminds us why this is important to us. Claudia Marshall, I invite you to please come up and light the flame as I say these words. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deep questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and of welcoming multiple truths. I invite you to please rise in body or spirit and join our song leaders to sing our opening hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. It's in the gray hymnal, and the words are also on your screen. Good morning. I'm Donna Zimmerman, and I'm your worship leader this morning. We're so happy that you joined us today. We're closing out the month of May, where we have been exploring the spiritual theme of being aware of our curiosity. If you are with us for the first time, we know that you are likely curious about who we are and what we believe. The answer to that is as different as there are people in this sanctuary. This is not a spiritual home that tells you what to believe. Instead, we invite you to take a deep look at what spirituality means to you and to understand why. We believe that there is no one answer, but rather answers we must find for ourselves. Answers that inspire us to live in this world with integrity, with service, respect, and most of all, with love. We know that you have many choices about how you spend your time, and yet you chose to spend it here with us this morning. Whoever you are, however you identify yourself, you are welcome here. In our tradition, we recognize truth and wisdom can be found in many sources. We honor our diverse spiritual backgrounds, our constant quest to grow and learn new ways of looking at things, and embrace the wonder of how our minds are able to expand and see new truths. We have all come to this church from many different paths. What unites us in our personal search for truth are the values of our denomination, which you will find listed on the back of your order of service. We are different in so many ways. However, those values are our common foundation. They inform our individual journeys to find and be our very best selves. If you haven't already done so, please stop at the table at the entrance and get some information about our church and our denomination, and get a name tag so that we can start to get to know you. After the service, there will be refreshments served at the windows at the back, where we spend time socializing. There are reserved chairs at the back of the last row so everyone can be comfortably included in the conversation, coffee, and snacks. If you have a need that is not being met, please let the person sitting at the welcome table at the entrance know so they can connect you with someone to assist you. We try to be intentional in expanding our circle to include everyone, and if we've missed the mark, we need to know about it. And now, I ask you to please ensure your phones and anything else that buzzes, chimes, and beeps in the night are silent so we can provide a quiet space to collect and center ourselves. We honor our diverse spiritual backgrounds, our constant quest to grow and learn new ways of looking at things, and to embrace possibilities of how our minds are able to expand when we are not locked into a mandated creed that inhibits our search and exploration. Our faith is intentionally creedless. We don't require you to believe one certain way, but as I have already mentioned, that doesn't mean that we are without our UU denominational core values. In addition, members of this congregation developed our own commitment to how we choose to be in relationship with each other. We say this agreement every Sunday to remind ourselves of these intentions. Please remain seated and join me in reciting our congregational covenant printed in your order of service and on the screen. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. Now please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our call to worship. The words are printed in your order of service, and again, they are on the screen. Lovely and well worth waiting for. As Judy Alevnik and Ted Clisby come forward to assist with the offering, I remind you that one of our core shared values is generosity. We share our time, our talent, and our treasure joyfully. Those actions allow this church to grow and thrive and to be a beacon for liberal spiritual values in this city. We are completely self-supporting, and we are grateful for your ongoing faithfulness to your pledge. As a reminder, our new fiscal year begins in July. Many have completed their pledge commitment. If you have not, it's not too late. Frankly, it's never too late to make a pledge. No matter how you choose to make your contribution, mail-in, electronic, whatever, we still pass the plate as an active community. We are in this together. When it comes to you, please take it and add your good vibes and then pass it to your neighbor or to the row behind you. Dr. Mark Yount is a longtime member of this congregation. In his professional life, Mark has a PhD in philosophy and has taught college courses for more than a decade. You can read more about Mark in the order of service. Please join me in welcoming Mark to the pulpit for the latest in a long line of sermons he has authored and delivered. Mark, the pulpit is yours.
In a symbolic act, I'm going to put the books aside this morning, but leave them in view. Good morning. My pronouns are he and they. You can find something new if you believe there is something new to be found. Otherwise, you can't. Which means that all finding of any kind, spiritual or not, comes out of curiosity. We are curious when we open up something that has been closed, whether it's a mysterious door or a locked box. Curiosity takes us to where we have not yet been. Curiosity prompts us to explore what had been unknown. And when we think we might have found something, it's curiosity that keeps us investigating or analyzing what we've turned up. We were born for this. Experiencing, finding, learning, understanding new stuff is cool, huh? Right. Maybe there should be UU bumper stickers that say, "Keep curiosity alive." In that spirit, I want to assure you that nothing I share as a finding this morning is meant to quench curiosity or count as an answer to keep anyone else from looking. I chose a career as a philosopher, to be a seeker of wisdom. I did for 12 years become a professor, but I had the good fortune to be deinstitutionalized. I was denied tenure in Philadelphia and denied an interview for my own job here in Jacksonville. I was forced to become a free-range seeker, going where curiosity and circumstance might carry me, which turned out to be here. This Buckman Bridge UU pulpit, in fact, though in the late 20th century and in 2002, when I first gave a sermon under this name, the building was different, and even the name of our congregation, a congregation in any case, was different then. But I returned this morning as if to reply to a question no one has dared ask me. In my last 20 years or so of spiritual seeking and giving sermons here, have I found anything? I'm glad you didn't ask. I have always insisted that the most important thing to realize is what we don't know. I stand with Socrates in saying that wisdom must above all consist in knowing that you do not know. Thus, in the 100 and some sermons I've given you, you have heard me play the evocative overtones of mystery, of possibility, of what I once called an uncommanded faith. But today, I'm going to take a different voice for my subtitles from perhaps philosophy's most brilliant individual stylist, the very unhumble 19th century German Friedrich Nietzsche. Here then is my outline for you. Part 1, Why I Was Right All Along. Part 2, What Went Wrong and Why I Can Still Make It Right. And Part 3, How My Spirit is Finding Its Full. Part 1, Why I Was Right All Along. He modestly began. It began, I'm sure, from my Christmas Day birth to a Christian mother, and then my rearing in a Methodist church in an era when such churches could be fortuitously reasonable. Yes, I've studied much of the best scholarship on the life of Yeshua of Nazareth. Yes, I know he preached that the end times were near and that he was wrong about that. And having been wrong about that, he's probably not perfect, and it's quite unlikely he's 1/3 of God. I understand that. I also understand that the origin story there mistranslates a word as virgin, all right, but there was a lot of Christian love poured into my foundation way farther back than my memories go. And I believe that that may have influenced me more than all the books I've read since kindergarten put together. How would I know? Except that something in there sticks still. So, clue number 1. The values I grew up by did not match the values that I saw in my larger world as I began to come of age. Nor has that contrast changed, not in any way for the better. This is a clue because we feel it natural to live by values, because that's what a culture is supposed to do. It's perhaps above all where we absorb stable, true, and enduring foundations for our own flights of curiosity, our own extensions, our own constructions, and even deconstructions of meaning. The world that awaited me failed my values. I saw that before I walked into my adulthood. That world still fails my values, even in this more mature phase of my prime. I don't know that in the 4th grade or whenever Weekly Reader featured an article on Stonehenge, I don't know exactly what I was aware of at that point, but I do know this. Like any school child, I had learned, of course, that progress is linear, that civilized societies, like the one that I live in, of course, are superior, and that those uncivilized antecedents in other places, like the Dark Continent, that still persist in backward places, well, they're just inferior in every important respect to the lives that we have learned to live, right? Every school child knows that. So, how did those big stones get to Stonehenge? How did they get them there? And why does everything line up in a way that's perfectly attuned to the movements of the sun and the moon throughout the year? And what's up with that? Okay? That made a huge impression on me. Another thing I remember from around the same time is a cover of a Scientific American that came because my father loved that stuff, and there was a laser on it. This was the first real Martin the Martian ray gun that I had ever seen a picture of. I mean, that's what I took it to be. And I thought, my goodness, if Stonehenge got me curious toward the past, that got me curious toward the future. The future is here if we have ray guns and stuff. So even though I didn't quite understand those things, I thought, wow, this is interesting stuff. There would later be a label used for appreciating the wisdom of older cultures and combining that with interest in cutting-edge science. It is a label that has not always been used kindly. New Age. I think I was a confirmed New Age thinker by the time of 16, and I think you were too, Linda Mowers. And the label New Age may be pejorative, but for me it is not. Because we can't break down the walls. There are too many people too interested in keeping them intact or building new ones. But when light gets through those walls and something else shows, it's a harbinger of possibilities that could be even bigger and that might yet be shared. I would liken my entire past and future career to the aspiration of a metaphysical Daniel Boone. I would like to lead our culture to some Cumberland gap that opens well beyond most of the important things we've taken for granted in our beliefs and that drive the conflicts that still consume us. In short, I'll embrace that New Age label amongst ourselves at least, as I move forward and also as I return today to the things that have inspired me in my past. I say that I was right all along because the things I was drawn to were the things that don't fit our conventional understandings, the weird stuff. Stuff like Gene Dixon's gift of prophecy, or about the sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce, who was a faithful Christian. He'd go into trances, he'd prescribe these natural-based cures for people, and then found things coming up about past lives. Really? Christian faith plus reincarnation? Cool. Made more sense to me than everybody goes to heaven no matter what. Made more sense to me by far than anything a loving God might call hell. Sign me up. And of course I had to explore Asian religions and then compare Plato in those terms as I went on into philosophy in college. Once in college as a philosophy major, I really hit the mother lode. Have you read any Carl Jung? It's psychology, but he's this master anthropologist that sets the way for Joseph Campbell's myths and heroes and all of that good Star Trek type stuff. And what Jung did that so inspired me when I encountered Jung in my junior year of college, Jung turned Freud's psychoanalysis upside down. Freud was saying that our conscious life is really led by our unconscious, which isn't false, but Freud thought our unconscious worked like a machine to drive us. Freud had a reductionist view. Jung flipped it. It was expansionist. The unconscious is a collective unconscious, and the myths of all cultures reflect something deeply common that we all participate in. Whoa. So there's a ground of meaning, there's a direction, there's a sense of quality and value that we all bring within us all the time in every point in history and every culture. Wow. That was a big thing to influence me. So if the unconscious is that, then it is, we have within each of us a source of untapped and untold resources for growth, for healing, even for transformation. You get where I'm going, I think. Transformation's a good thing if you look at the world that doesn't look right, right? Existentialists taught me that my lived experience can't be reduced to something quote-unquote objective, which I took to mean that my mind can't be reducible to my brain. I tried for a while to save dualism from this reductionist stuff, but from age 20 to 21, I settled into what philosophers have called a dual aspect approach to mind and body. That is, mind and body are two aspects of one thing. But if I say that one thing is the body, I've cheated. I've reduced it to one of two aspects. To say there are two aspects is to say that there's something going on and you can't understand part of it without taking the whole into account. What am I describing? Mind-body holism. I'm describing everything in all the magazines and the health and everything that's going on in the way we're beginning to think and is sinking into the science and the practice of psychotherapy, among other things today. I was right to think that. My mind-body evangel came in a Chinese accent, in that my version was even simple. Mind and body are the yin and yang of us. And not only of humans, but of animals too, of course. And who knows how far down that might go, as a slippery slope or a welcome one. So I won't bore you with my arguments. I set aside a stack of books because some of you may want to ask me afterwards about a suggestion for further reading to give you some idea that I didn't just make this stuff up this morning. Anyway, the evangel of mind-body dual aspect, yin and yang complementarities behind the screen. So you have to look behind the screen to find how yin and yang really work. That's all right. That came to me as I was reading Fritz Capra's The Tao of Physics in my Asia House dorm as an undergraduate. Looking back, I would say that my personal curiosity was different from, say, my father's. He was a born engineer who loved figuring out how things work. Loved it. But my interest has not been in things. But I have sought out some less tangible field of meaning, a field of purpose that is not reducible to utility, of values that can't be read verbatim from a scripture or the teacher's manual for the text. I might call me a further curiosity. I might call my version of curiosity, or my species of it, a further curiosity. And if you're on the Ken Kesey bus, you can spell further with a U-R. If the worth is supported, if the world is supported on the back of an elephant, if that elephant is the top of a stack of elephants, the kind of curiosity I have works like this. What kind of different does the bottom elephant have to be? It's kind of like that gets you through all the yin-yang and thinking into quantum, this, that, and the other. And whether it's through philosophy, science, religion, or some other mode of exploration, it's well beyond what we see right in front of us. What different kind of elephants? This is philosophy, this is religion. This is what Unitarian Universalists do when you give our curiosity free rein. Consider the claim of wisdom. Does anyone admit to being or acting unwise on purpose? The cheaters dismiss wisdom and say that there's no such thing because it's unattainable. They may even quote Socrates. The cheaters will tell us that wisdom is the wrong way to put it, or we might be satisfied with my wisdom versus your truth, and perspectives that can never be any more than perspectives, and each is entitled to, they might not say their own, they might say his own, but you never know. But wisdom is not just whatever you might think is wise. Don't drink the Kool-Aid or the bleach. I would say wisdom is perspective on what matters. And I might say that perspective is where meaning meets my life. Here's what I mean by perspective. I read in Bernie Sanders' book, Fight, Oligarchy, that came out last November, that if you sort American households by their net financial worth, Elon Musk has more wealth than the bottom half of all American households put together. That's crazy wrong. That's insane. Now, that's a controversial issue. You may be a liberal about it. No, it's just crazy wrong. Worlds can't live that way. Societies can't do that. That's just crazy, unsustainably, out of control, wrong, even apart from what's happening to your world or your children or anything else. Now, this puts me in a minority of people when it comes to civil discourse, because the majority of people will take the McNeil Lehrer approach from the old days and say, well, there are two sides and each has its points, and I want to say no. By the perspective on what matters in the way of meaning and values, there's some things that a whole lot of people accept, take for granted, and believe is valid, or at least arguably within normal limits, that is insane, out of limits, contrary to human being and the possibility of a sustained planet. All right. I could invoke the freedom of the pulpit. I could say, well, this is only my opinion, but it isn't only my opinion. I want to say that there are certain things in the realm of value, truth, wisdom, and perspective on what matters that should not be beyond argument. So I won't go further into that example, but I do. I think of the film Apocalypse Now and the Doors song, The End. I think of a culture that's supposed to be civilized compared to Stonehenge or whatever else. And I hear the lines in the end, the West is the best. Get here and we'll do the rest. Well, the line that sticks with me is, driver, where are you taking us? And in that spirit, I come to part 2, A and B. Part 2A, what went wrong? I apologize that I only have one sentence, well, 2. I was supposed to grow up. I wasn't good at that. That's part 2. Oh, that was only part A. Part B, how can I make it right? How can I still make it right? If I was supposed to grow up and I wasn't good at that, I can still make it right because I wasn't broken. Because unlike many others who have experienced some form of traumatic subjection, I didn't internalize the idea that the problem must be me. Not being broken, I was cast out and deinstitutionalized, but that served well my free-range curiosity to search out my own authority. Which brings me to the concluding part 3, how my spirit is finding its full. That sounds good, doesn't it? I retired from what I call my slave career, in the sense that people speak of their slave names and all. When I was expelled from JU's ivory tower, a mentor advised me to read Gail Sheehy's 1995 book, New Passages. Who knew that life could be better at 71 than it was at 41? Gail Sheehy did. There's a sweet spot where you can be vital and inspired and creative and engaged without having to do something that someone is willing to pay you for. I call this my prime time. Chronological age be damned. My spirit is finding its full because, among other things, I'm learning how to get my brain into the passenger seat. My priority has shifted from thinking about theories to being and living. I am much less the would-be academic philosopher and more the practicing therapist who has himself for a fool client. A fool on the hill kind of client, closer to another college-era inspiration from Ram Dass. Be here now. You might say my spiritual finding has consisted in large part in finding my way back to my spirit, which fortunately, my unbroken spirit still seems available to my access. I still need smart guy in my car, but more as a navigator than a driver. If you say funny things about the 2020 elections, I'd just say you're simply factually wrong. But I've also learned that all of us, the most intelligent, the most educated, the most well-informed, all of us have powerful confirmation bias. That whatever our political opinions, whatever our levels of anything, if not equally, we are all at least substantially biased. And so we're well attached to our reasoning. We believe that what we reasoned out has got to be true if we have faith in that kind of rationality, as we are trained to do. And I want to say, when we want to believe something, we can rationalize anything. This is what follows from that for me. If we can use our reason to justify any prejudice we bring to the table, then we must need more than rationality to move beyond it. That's why we need spirit. That's why we need our hearts. Our society feels as broken and lost to me as I've ever felt it. We've lost shared values, purpose, and meaning. We've lost the script, and we have no new one. Philosophy's institutional history is a series of I'm right because And what we need now is not a script that everyone can read from. We need to turn loose that free-range curiosity that everyone can play. Crowdsource it. Trade with your friends. Have metaphysical Tupperware parties. Tear down the barricades that dying worldviews have laid in our minds. Hey, check this out. This is so cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Since our final hymn is new to us, number 338 in the gray hymnal, I Seek the Spirit of a Child, I'm going to ask Gary to play it through one time as our song leaders come forward. It's an easy and lovely hymn. I invite you to please rise in body or spirit and then remain standing for the closing words. Claudia will return to extinguish the chalice, and may we take to heart these words by Gilda Radner, the late actress and comedienne. I wanted a perfect ending. Now I've learned the hard way that some poems don't rhyme, and some stories don't have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Life is about not knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making the best of it without knowing what's going to happen next. Delicious ambiguity. Amen. And as you leave this place, take that delicious ambiguity with you into the world. Ask questions and be ready to embrace the unexpected possibilities of the answers. May it be so.